Hey everybody, Ryan here with Ray's latest. Hope everybody's having a good start and finish to their day. Some big news, kind of our first big name splash out of the free agency market has just occurred for the Tampa Bay Rays with Cedric Mullins signing a 1-year deal with Tampa Bay. Now, the financial aspects and everything like that have not been reported yet. This just happened about 40 minutes before of me recording this video. So, perfect fit for the Rays, in my opinion. Getting that outfielder that we've been kind of looking for this offseason with the low power outfield that we've kind of been seen to have. And I think that he will be an everyday center fielder, which we do have a 40-man roster that is currently full. So there will have to be a corresponding move in regards to the 40-man for this deal to be official. So I'm going to kind of dive into what I kind of see in Cedric Mullins. And obviously, 2021, it was his best year that he's had by a long shot, and it's nowhere close. So he was an all-star. That's kind of where he started to make a name for himself. The years prior, he had barely kind of played in 18, 19, and 20. He combined for 84 hits in over 3 years. So that's just a correlation to at-bats being down. So the amount of games he was playing was extremely low. It was being sent up and down between AAA and the bigs, and kind of just fitting in where needed in Baltimore. But in 2021, he completely exploded. 175 hits, hit 30 homers, had 59 RBIs, stole 30 bases, and he did strike out 125 times, which I would say is a little concerning, but he did hit 291 with an 878 OPS. So the strikeout numbers, it's not crazy to me where it's kind of like 125, yes, it is a decent amount of strikeouts considering you're getting about 500-ish, upper 400s amount of at-bats in a season. So it's he's striking out about a fourth of the time, statistically wise, maybe a little less, around 20% mark. So it's not overly concerning. He's not striking out half the times he gets up there like we do see with some of these hitters these days. But from a perspective of the power numbers that we've been kind of looking for, that 2021 season, his best season, is if he replicates that season again, that would be fantastic. He's only 31, so and he's 5 years now removed from that season. So he's kind of also kind of been on like a downward track, I would say. And in 22, he only hit 16, 23, 15, 14, 18, and then this past season he only hit 17 homers. So it's kind of trickled down to where it's one of those things. Did he just have a crazy year where he just played twice as good as he's supposed to be, or if there's something behind it with a disconnect with the Orioles organization or with the Mets last season where it just kind of wasn't clicking for him. And the strikeout numbers have kind of all been around the same. In 22, he had 126, so he only had a one more strikeout out of the whole season. And in 23 and 24, he only had 101 and 98 respectively. So the numbers from the negatives standpoint are trending down, but from a positive standpoint, they're also trending down. So it's one of those weird situations where you rarely ever see a guy improve in bad statistics and then get worse in good statistics, which doesn't really correlate well, and it's kind of weird to look at those stats and kind of see that. But you would expect the strikeout numbers to go up if the batting average goes down, and you would kind of expect to see a correlation between the good and the bad, but they're both declining, which is interesting. So I'm curious to see if he's kind of been trying to work on separate things, and it's kind of been affecting his overall kind of approach at the plate and things of that nature. So I really do like the signing. As I've said previously, the financial numbers of this have not yet been revealed, which they probably will be depending on if he gets his physical cleared and things of that nature. But I like the signing. I think it's a big pickup for the Rays. I think it's that outfielder that they've been looking for in this offseason, and we've kind of seen the name kind of trickled around a little bit. And I was a little skeptical on it at first when I first saw it a couple weeks ago because of how poorly he's played over the last few seasons, especially last season, which it's also another one of those things where it's the Rays jumping in at possibly the right time and not necessarily looking at the numbers as being bad for the lineup, but being good for the payroll. And I think that's kind of where they are judging this signing based on. And you get him for 1 year. So if he is really bad again, you're not tied to him for any set long period of time. So I do kind of like it being 1 year. And then if he's playing fantastic midway through the year, 3/4 through the year, before he can hit free agency again, get him an extension. Something of that nature, which I think is kind of where the front office is looking at this as, and that's where I think the fan base should kind of look at it as, and not just a temporary fix. I can kind of see it more of as a trial run. You get 1 year, probably 2-ish, 3-ish million dollars. You get 1 year, prove yourself, we'll extend you, or if you want to go somewhere else, you can go somewhere else. But I think that's going to be kind of where the Rays are kind of trying to take this. And I don't mind it at all. I like the signing. I think it's going to be a good pickup. And I hope he can improve from his previous seasons and kind of get back to his 2021 shape. So we'll see how that goes, but I really like it. And another guy I've kind of been seeing inked in trade rumors is Ketel Marte. And I don't necessarily think that from a Rays perspective, I don't think it fills any voids that we currently have, other than he is a primary second baseman, or he has been in the past, but he kind of plays everywhere. So he plays short sometimes, he plays center. You could put him in right field, you could put him in left field. He can kind of play wherever. You put him at third, but with Caminero at third, you kind of have, now you have Mullins, Simpson, Mangum, Lowe. The really only place you would kind of want him to play every day, if from a kind of defensive standpoint, is at short. That's kind of where the void in the lineup per se is at shortstop. And I don't necessarily know if the Rays would be willing to kind of drop down from Taylor Walls' defensive abilities and defensive runs saved to improve the bat for how much money or not necessarily money, but value that Ketel Marte is going to need. But the Diamondbacks need pitching, and they need it really bad. And I think that's why they're kind of shipping around Marte as kind of like one of the big names for this cycle. And I think that's the reason why, is because they're looking for a high-value arm. And I think from a Rays perspective, it's one of those things that if you want to trade for Marte, you're going to have to give away some good starting pitching. And I don't necessarily know if that's a good idea unless you're just trying to contract dump. What I mean by that is, you like with a Glasnow or with a Blake Snell, you get rid of those guys because you can't pay them and you need to get something out of them while you can. So I think from that perspective, I think that could be an option, possibly like maybe a Rasmussen. I really would never want to get rid of Shane McClanahan. I really don't want to ever get rid of Drew Rasmussen either. But I think those are two of the guys that kind of stand out to me as we're not going to be able to afford them in the next couple of years. So get rid of them while you can and get value from them. But I think it's going to take a little bit more than just 1-for-1 for Ketel Marte, in my opinion. You're going to have to give up some prospects. You're going to have to give up a big league starter. I think it's going to take a lot to get him. I mean, he's got a career 35.6 WAR. He's hit 281 his entire career. He's hit 171 homers. And for those of you that don't know who Ketel Marte is, he looks small. He's not. He's 6 foot 200. Like, he's a big guy from a muscle standpoint, and he's not just this. I mean, comparatively speaking, 6 foot in Major League Baseball is not big by any means, and I would say it's probably a little below average. That's probably why he doesn't look as big on the field as he actually is. I mean, 6 foot 210. That's a big dude, just from a stature standpoint. So that's where I can kind of see how some people are kind of shocked by his power numbers. And 28 homers last season at 283 is pretty good. And I think that he would be immediate and a fantastic upgrade in our lineup. But I think it's just one of those things where it's, do you want to risk possibly getting rid of the core of our rotation for a guy like him? So we'll transition away from Marte to kind of the media was allowed back in Tropicana Field for the first time after the hurricane happened. And the final roof panels went on last week. And as you can see here, this is what the Trop currently looks like from the outside standpoint. And from the inside, I've seen a lot of questions. It's like for every other panel, it's like copper looking, brownish, tannish looking. There's a reasoning behind that. It's when the sun's going to bleach anything that sits out for a long time. That's why if you leave a black shirt outside for a long period of time, it's going to look lighter over that period of time. So that's kind of their thing of it, is you don't want it to be too white to where it gets bleached and it's way too white to see anything. So they make it a little darker color, and they make it a little more, so as if it were to get bleached by the sun, which it will, it won't be too white, comparatively speaking, to a baseball. So that's kind of where they were at. And there's some other pictures taken from the inside. I won't share all of them, but this is the picture from the outside that I was showing. And then from the inside, you will see the panels. And then from a kind of scoreboard and everything standpoint, everything's kind of still in the same place. Trop sign's still there. The Canes strikeout sign's still there. All the bleachers are still intact. There's some tarps covering some seating, but nothing of concern. On track to still play in April in Tropicana Field. I've also seen a lot of questions about Fan Day and things of that nature, the Rays Fest. I don't know if that will possibly happen inside Tropicana Field. I doubt it. They've had to push back the season, the home opener, 2 weeks for the Rays this season already because of kind of getting everything in store. So I would be kind of shocked if they had Rays Fest in the Trop, which is usually in February. So I'd be curious to kind of see. I'll keep you guys updated on what that entails. But in regards to Cedric Mullins and Ketel Marte, please let me know your thoughts, and you guys have a great one.